Cool. So I mean, Titanfall 2 is finally here on PlayStation. Have you been looking at much Titanfall stuff in the past? Is it one that you've been?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm going to be honest with you. Like nothing at all whatsoever. So this is just like a brand new concept for me. I know obviously it's come out on the Xbox One, to some sort of cult acclaim. I think it wasn't as successful as I thought they wanted it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
really like loved the idea of it, the first one, and like followed it and watched quite a lot of stuff on YouTube, but never really had the platform to play it on. Yeah, so I was so excited at E3 when they finally were like, oh yeah, and it's going to come out on PS4. Which I think is
yeah,
sort of testament to how well the PS4 has done. Not necessarily compared to Xbox, but they obviously just couldn't ignore the size of the PS4 family, so to speak.
yeah. And I think as well, it's like, I mean, there was a massive like outcry the fact it didn't have a single player, and
Yeah,
it's something that they've addressed now, and I think that's something that I think developers have learnt now that um, you can't just have like a strong like multiplayer all the time. You know,
no, no.
Like with Battlefront, for example, like that suffered massively. That wouldn't have had half the bad reviews it had it had a single player. And I think they've rectified it in this, and I'm pretty certain they'll rectify it in other games as well that have been
Yeah, I think they've
sort of crying
definitely
out
learned
for
their
it.
lessons, and it's a shame that it was Battlefront that had to sort of be the
Absolutely.
fall goat or the scapegoat, whatever the term is. You know, they
But on Xbox's terms, this was the same. This happened. This was very eagerly anticipated, um, and I think that suffered the same fate.
yeah, yeah, for sure. People sort of got really into it and then realised it's just a multiplayer
Yeah.
experience. But I don't know, like, so how much do you know about the campaign? Have you seen much for it? Have you sort of followed it at
Not
all?
really. Like I haven't. To be fair, for Titanfall, I mean, I knew it was coming out on PS4, but I particularly decided like just to stay away from any sort of social media hype or any. You know, I want to give it a sort of like a clean run and see what it can really do without being influenced so much.
Yeah,
Um, and
no,
so
for sure.
far, just from playing this tech test, I can honestly say that I'm very, very intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got the sort of feel of Call of Duty. So originally, like the first one was made by. Can you remember a few years ago when there was a bit of a Call of Duty falling out, and a bunch of guys left
Yeah.
the Infinity Ward team. They basically went on
Yes.
to create Respawn. Um, so Titanfall, the franchise, is developed by a good portion of the original Modern Warfare team that made the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and looking at the game aesthetically and the way it plays,
Yeah.
you can
I
sort of
think you can see it.
you can
You can
see
see
the
it
Call of Duty
certainly.
influence, can't you? Even down to things like the kill
Yeah.
cam and um, I guess there's going to be like perks and things and just the speed of it. I think, and the only word I've really got to describe it is slick. You know, it's such a
Yes.
slick
Very.
experience. It just feels nice, and the parkour side of it, so the wall running and all that sort of stuff is really cool.
And then, see, what I'm enjoying the most is that you're having this like sort of deathmatch experience, or you're having some sort of um, like objective based experience, and then all of a sudden your Titan becomes available, and it just changes the entire mechanics of the game. Because
Yeah,
it's like you're just like you just become this like just uber machine, you know.
I think the other sort of word, not necessarily to describe the gameplay, but just to describe the experience, is just awesome. Like everything about
Yes.
it, it's just amazing things happening. So like literally just now, I've slid past a couple of guys, and then jumped onto the top of a Titan, stole its battery, and then just like tried to wall run away, got killed. But like just that slick sort of slide, double jump on top of the Titan, and it does the little bit of a takeover animation where you're attacking it from the top, but
Yeah.
everything around me was cool, and even down to like the ejecting when you when you eject out of it and you just get flung 100 feet in the air and it's all explosions. And yeah, no, it's just such a slick, cool game.
And I think like fluidity is so important. I think. Um, and it's something that we're now starting to see in a lot of PS4 games, is the fact that they're really starting to get a handle of what the machine can do.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when we play things like Killzone,
Yes.
it was an incredible first-person shooter, and it really demonstrated graphically what the PlayStation could do. But now we're talking, we're on a whole new sort of arena now. I think, you know,
Yeah.
just the way you think, like, see, it's like about seamlessness, you know, as seamless as things can interact. Like, I've just jumped in a Titan now, and it's, before it would have just, I don't, like on a PlayStation 3 that would have been like a loading screen maybe. It just couldn't handle that sort of
no
change to the mechanics, you know.
But no, it's really cool. Like, I think we're in the run up to Christmas now, where we're going to get a lot more of these exciting, like, quite special games coming out, because we're a couple of years into the cycle, 3 years into the sort of console life, and things like Neo coming out, or, you know, this new PlayStation Super, and the Xbox Scorpio. You know, it's games like this that are going to start pushing these boundaries.
Do you think you'll get a Neo?
It depends. I think we're going to hear about it soon. There's a big Sony thing coming up where they're going to release more details, and possibly a PlayStation Slim, which, from what I've seen of like concepts, looks like quite a cool little console. But to be honest, probably not. I'm going to get PlayStation VR. I imagine this in VR, Titanfall VR. That'd be amazing. That'd be pretty sick. But yeah, I'm going to get the PlayStation VR, and the current PS4s will run it, so I don't see any need for a Neo at the minute. Even if it boosts graphics and processor speeds and stuff, like, I've never found that I couldn't do everything I want to on this PS4. So
no. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I probably will get a Neo.
Yeah.
Simply because I feel that I don't know. It's not so much that I don't want to get left behind or any of that sort of jazz, but just I've already invested so heavily in the PlayStation brand now. I think I'd just be stupid not to just carry on with it as much as I could.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, but it just entirely depends on what it's actually going to do. To be honest,
there's a reason why they're releasing it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think if everything plays quicker and install speeds are quicker and network speeds are quicker, and then I'm down for that.
Makes sense. But yeah, so sort of bringing it back around to Titanfall 2 then. I just feel like for ages I've sort of wanted to, however much I don't particularly enjoy Call of Duty, I've kind of been left on the outside of that whole Call of Duty network of players who have this game that they're addicted to. And I'm same as you, sort of always been a Battlefield player and a sort of Battlefront recently. This, to me, I think is going to become my FPS for a while. Like, it's going to become the game that I like to play when I want something that's a fast-paced Twitch trigger shooter sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. As Call of Duty is.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas Battlefront gives you the ultimate scale, and you just got the whole sort of tactical-esque everything. And Call of Duty always just gave you the run and gun feel, didn't it?
So I'll be pleased to have a game like that isn't Call of Duty. You know, I'll be glad to try something that's a bit new, especially with the campaign. And then obviously Battlefield 1 coming out in sort of in a month or two.
Cannot wait for that.
Yeah, so that's gonna be pretty cool. So, but yeah, so I mean, I'm enjoying this. I'd like to sort of stick with it and hope it is. But I'm intrigued to see what the campaign's going to be like.
Yes.
It seems almost like quite not an emotional campaign, but it's not necessarily like your Call of Duty, just run and gun, and it doesn't particularly mean a great deal. Like, I think with this, they're tying a lot to sort of create a bond between a Titan and its pilot.
Yes,
so that's going to be interesting to see how they approach that.
And there's different types of Titan as well, which is good.
Yes. Yeah, which just sort of leaves a lot open to customization as well, I think. I
think because things like in first-person shooters now, customization is incredibly important. I mean, when you played sort of Modern Warfare, well, just Modern Warfare 1, 2, and possibly even 3, you just, in the multiplayer, you never really cared so much about your guy. And I think customization helps that. It allows you to, like, sort of create your own unique person, and you can have your, you know, when you sort of care about the person that you're controlling, I feel you have a much better game. It's much more intense, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it means more to you. But no, I mean, I'm enjoying this.
Customization is the key.
Yeah, and that's always been something that me and Phil have said, that any game that offers you customization is already onto something, because people just enjoy collecting that crap, you know, and it doesn't really mean anything, but...
No, that's it. It doesn't mean anything at all. If anything, it means nothing.
Yeah, it quite literally means nothing. It's like you've collected a green pair of trousers, and it's like, okay, excellent. My character now has that, and you think, you think that's really cool.
Great. That's great. I was just looking for a green pair of trousers. Like, that sort me out perfectly.
That took a developer and an artist literally an afternoon to come up with and design.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And I hope this offers that, even down to sort of weapon customizations, not necessarily character, but I'm really enjoying the SMG at the minute. I've sort of stuck with SMGs. And been leveling up the CAR, so I've got like a holographic scope, and I've added fast reloads and faster down sight viewing and all that sort of stuff. And that to me is always enjoyable, because I feel like this gun's my own now. I haven't just picked one off the shelf, like I've sort of customized it in a way that suits the way I play. So that's always a good thing.
I think that sort of thing's really important as well, because it does allow everyone to play the same game, but play the same game in a completely different way.
Yes,
which obviously adds replay value, adds just a more personal touch to you know, to how you approach the game as a whole, because everyone's playing the same game, they're still doing the same thing, but how do you make it so individual people have a slightly different experience? And that's I think that's one of the ways that you do it.
Yeah, I think capturing that's important.
And to be fair, there's quite a few games recently that have not given that sort of feel into it. There's been quite a few vanilla games come out of this year.
Yeah.
Especially ones that have been overhyped, and I think it's important to bring something new to the table. And this is first-person shooters. There's not a lot more you can really do. Until you come to another game changer. And I wouldn't say this is a game changer, but it's definitely well on its way to being one.
Yeah, well, it's sort of combined a lot of things that already exist and just done it in a cool way. So obviously, like first-person shooters, there's 1,000 of them. The wall running and the sliding and stuff has been done before. I don't know necessarily on this larger scale in a first-person shooter, but it's not a new concept. And robots, big fighting mechs has been done 1,000 times as well. But bringing them all together in the way that they have done for this game, I think they've done it really well, and they could so easily have ruined it, which I think is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in a way, it just goes to show, however much I enjoy and sort of will always praise the indie game market for its originality and stuff, it just goes to show what the veterans can do. What the industry veterans who spent years building up the Call of Duty franchise, obviously then left under whatever circumstances, have then come back together to make this, and it's a hit. And I think that's just credit to their knowledge of what people enjoy and what they're capable of. So
yeah. And the thing, like, if they've come from the Call of Duty studios, it must have been an incredibly hard task to make sure they don't just create Call of Duty with like mechs.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think to the greatest extent they've accomplished that. They've still, I mean, like you said, the graphically and
the kill cams and stuff like
that.
And
there's all the things that you'd expect, but it doesn't feel like I'm playing Call of Duty, and that's good.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. So I'm just at the end of my match, and just another thing to talk about. That again, it's just one of those really nice little touches. Is the sort of the epilogue of each match,
Where you got to get out.
where you've got to escape. I think that was actually
Yeah.
in the first Titanfall, and I'm glad that survived as a concept because it's just a really cool
Yes.
little end game. I
It's
know
not.
team.
It's not just. It's not just like you lose. It's like you've lost. Now get out. Sort of.
Yeah, yeah, and I know Team Fortress does a similar thing where at the end of the game you basically just have to run and hunt down the other team and kill them all. But I like the idea with this one of the sort of the escaping in the drop pod because it just makes, even though
Yeah.
you've lost, there's just that little extra bonus. Like I don't know what you get for escaping. I don't think you particularly get anything.
I think you just get more XP, more points. Like it's a bit
Yeah,
of a.
maybe. But it's just it makes for some really awesome end games. So like you've lost,
Yeah.
but you're in the drop pod, and there's like explosions around you, and even when you're sitting on the ship, you're like shooting out of the main door while everyone else is making it. And I had a pretty awesome game the other day where like I was running back in my Titan, and I could see like a couple of people had made it into the pod, and there was two Titans chasing us. So I just took like the heroic decision to like turn around, and then you know that like core laser blast that you can do that sort of finishes you
Yes.
off. But I just turned around and like annihilated the two Titans, and then got blown up in the process. But then the drop pod, the drop ship like flew off, and it just felt so awesome. And like to think that's something that's not really like part of the game. It's just like the bonus bit at the
No.
end. It's a really cool little touch.
So you can go ahead and be a hero.
Yeah, yeah. Like everyone will want to be the hero, so everyone will just sacrifice themselves.
I did this cool thing earlier. I don't know how I did it, but basically I think I was just getting annihilated in my Titan, and I ejected, but I ejected up, and there was a few guys on my Titan, and as I ejected up, my Titan just blew up and killed them both, and I didn't die.
Yeah. Yeah, it's again, and it's moments like that that are just so cool and just look so slick.
Well, I'm not sure how I did it. It just sort of said eject, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's so with the Titans you have like a bit of, but yeah, have like your health, and then when you run out of health, it sort of enters like a meltdown mode, and then that's when it'll come up with.
Oh,
your
is that
eject.
what the stripy health
Yeah,
looking
so
like thing?
when it's on the stripy health bar, that's when the Titan's basically like on a timer before it blows up. So you
Yeah.
can either go out in a blaze of glory at that point, or you can like eject. And then as you
bail.
eject, the whole Titan just nukes, and yeah, it just looks amazing every time. And like even down to like the way that the guy looks down and like pulls the thing, and then you just get
Yeah.
thrown in the air. Like it just looks so cool compared to just sort of ejecting or getting out of it. You know, it's almost like as they were designing the game, they thought, how can we make this even cooler? Like, oh, I know,
Yeah.
you know, massive super nuclear blast ejections. And then there's always the moment when like an enemy ejects out of his, and then everyone looks straight up and starts trying to like shoot him out of the air. It just looks so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a seriously cool game. Ah,
I
Not
think it's hard to say whether I'd pre-order this now. I'm definitely very interested. Like it's just from playing the tech test. Then the tech test doesn't try and be anything. It's not hype. I don't feel this is hype.
No,
Um,
it's what it says in the tin. You know, it's that they're wanting to test it. I think the concept of it, the sort of Titanfall concept, is already a proven concept because they had the first game that was a huge success.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're particularly testing whether it's going to be a good game. I imagine they're just testing their new back end for the servers and what have you. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very interested in the single player.
yes.
And to be fair, that's the only reason why I'm into the Call of Duties. I have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I'm playing through the campaign at the minute. I don't think I'll play the multiplayer because I don't think it's bringing anything new to the Call of Duty franchise. And I've thought that for the last maybe 2 or 3 games.
Yeah. But I'm in the
whereas-
exact same boat. You know, we've got Modern Warfare 3. Me and Phil have played a bit of the co-op stuff. I've played the campaign in one sitting in a day. and I've never even, I don't think I've even been on the multiplayer menu because it just doesn't do it for me.
No. And zombies as well. I'm just not down for that anymore. It's something that's just escaped me now. You know, I just don't feel it.
Yeah, I don't know, like any sort of horde mode, and I'm in. I was looking the other day, and there's that little part of the back of my brain that's tempted to grab an Xbox One, just for Gears of War, the new one, and
Really?
the horde mode in that and stuff. Yeah, like, and I think because I haven't got an Xbox, I sort of want one, which is, I know it's the bad commercial way to look at things, but there are some pretty cool Xbox One titles, you know, past and present, you know, that I'd like to grab. So
Yeah.
you know, I mean, this is certainly one. As you say, I don't know. I'm not quite decided on pre-ordering it yet, but I think I will look to grab it fairly soon after launch. I want to maybe see a little bit of campaign and just see what people think. And I'm worried. My only worry for the campaign, like, I think it will be good, but I'm worried it's going to be short. So like it might only be like a 5 or 6 hour campaign, at which point it then just becomes a multiplayer game again. So I don't know.
I think it has to have some sort of campaign. Like, it has to give, like, otherwise things don't have any meaning. Obviously, like with Battlefront, it's Star Wars, so you know the Star Wars. Most people know the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
And I think they must have thought, well, that's enough. But you know, how hard was it just to do? If you're doing all 3 of the original trilogy, then have the best bits in levels of all 3 of the original trilogy. You know, give people that sort of cinematic experience, and I think you need that with first-person shooters because there's so many of them about, and you need something that just takes the monotony away from just regular multiplayer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, not everyone wants to play with people all the time.
No.
And if your game is solely a multiplayer, I mean, don't get me wrong, Battlefield 1 when it comes out, like that, we know full well that is a full multiplayer. That is going to be multiplayer orientated to the core.
Yeah,
but
it's going to have a campaign, but
exactly, the campaign you can play first, or you know, whenever you want. And it just, if you want to play the game but you don't want to play against people, I'll just play the campaign for a bit. Easy.
Yeah, and I mean, slightly off topic, but I'm excited for Battlefield 1 and the campaign, because it's not going to be like another Modern Warfare shooting Arabs in the desert sort of thing. You know, it's going to be a bit more heartfelt in World War One, and it's a new setting, and I think there's a lot more emotion to play with there, which is exciting. And it's sort of, I guess, bringing it back round to this, the campaign isn't just going to be, you know, Titans fighting each other. I'm sure there'll be plenty of that, but it seems like they're building a story a lot more to do with the link between a pilot and the Titan.
Yeah.
So the odd cutscene that I've seen there's one where there's like a couple of Titans fighting down a hallway, but the Titans look injured and they're sort of like limping along, and the pilots are trying to like drag the Titans to cover and stuff. So it's quite a cool little mechanic in that the Titans are almost portrayed as people. So I think I think it's going to carry a lot of emotion.
They're a part of the the pilot itself.
The pilot,
like a symbiote sort of.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, they're all one big family in a way, and even though it's just a big hunk of metal, I think it's quite cool, and it's, in a way, it sort of ties into real world sort of problems, and, you know, AI and all that sort of stuff becoming a lot more apparent, and, you know, probably not too far in the future we're going to have these machines that, not necessarily big killing murder robots, but machines that we have to combine with. So it'd be interesting to see how human they portray the Titans to be in the campaign.
I like how the AI tells you that you're outnumbered and stuff as well.
Yes, yeah, that's again, it's just one of those really cool little touches that they didn't have to do, but it just adds to it. You know, she's telling you, I'd advise that you use your trip mines because you've got 2 Titans attacking you, or the other thing I like, when you're in the Titan and it comes up telling you that you've got an enemy pilot on you, And if you listen, you can actually hear like this echoey clunking sound, as if
clanking over the top of you.
yeah, as if they're actually walking around above your head. And it's just a really nice little touch.
Do you know how to get them off?
Not entirely sure, to be honest. I'm not sure you can do much about it apart from have a friend shoot them, or there might be some sort of upgrade. I've got a feeling in the first one there was like an upgrade you could get where you basically electrified the outside of your Titan.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got these mods for my weapon, but I don't know how to apply them. Is that in like the main menu, is it?
Yeah, so you do that in like the customization. So what weapon set are you sort of going with at the minute? What's the...
Just going with the assault rifle, I think. I changed my guy though. I didn't want to be the robot thing, so I changed it to just a human.
Oh, I didn't realise you could change. I assumed they were all like the robot people.
It's in custom loadout.
Ah, okay.
So in custom you can change the person. I think you can anyway. I hope you can.
I imagine so. Again, it's just down to that customization. It's if you get to do it, it makes you feel a little bit more attached to the game, doesn't it? So
more in control as well, and you'll always care more for a human character than you will for a robot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say, there's something really cool about seeing an enemy Titan with like 4 of your blokes on it, just like climbing around on it, just pulling it to pieces. It just looks really like just epic.
So we're getting absolutely annihilated right now.
So we're like 4 grand. They're at 2,300, so we're pretty much...
Although I think we are pulling it back. I'm 56% towards my Titan.
I've had mine for ages, I just haven't died. Like, do you drop your Titan in as soon as you get it, or do you prefer to like spawn in it?
I don't... No, I normally drop it in, to be fair.
See, I like spawning in it. Like, I don't know why, I just like the idea of having like a fresh life in it.
Yeah.
I always, the couple of times that I've tried to drop it in, I've been killed and then had to like run across the map to try and get to it.
It does defend itself though, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I think so. I know, I'm pretty sure people can't steal it at least.
No.
That'd suck. Yeah, seeing like the Titans come in the distance as well, like they just sort of warp in off the map, it looks really cool.
I like how everyone's not bullet sponges as well.
Yeah. The weapons seem to have like a fairly decent amount of balance as well. So, from what I've seen, you've got like assault rifles, SMGs, LMGs, so like your heavy guns, and sniper rifles and shotguns. So it's just your standard sort of collection of weapons with a bit of a futuristic twist to them. But so as I say, I've been playing a lot of SMG class, and the SMGs are like a super powerful up close, but are pretty much useless at range, as you'd expect. So they haven't sort of warped the formula too much, which is cool. I don't think there ever was, but I mean, do you think there'll be any sort of like pro scene to this? Do you think they'll make it competitive, or?
They could very easily do so.
Yeah. Again, I guess it's got this sort of Call of Duty pedigree to it, hasn't it? So
yeah.
It's got that element of competitive to it, but at the same time, I don't know if there was ever a pro scene for the first one. And it's quite nice in a way to have a game that's not built just for being pro, if that makes sense.
No.
I think it's a shame. So like Overwatch, I don't know what it is about Overwatch. It's been like critically acclaimed, and it looks like an awesome game. But I've always been slightly put off by the fact that it seems like everyone plays it just to be a pro at it. I feel like you'll go on it and there'll just be people who literally don't do anything else but play Overwatch. So I don't know.
I mean, obviously with Overwatch and with Battleborn and that, I found it's just not for me.
No.
Like it was even with Paragon as well. I mean, we gave it a go and we played it, and I played it again on my own. I just thought, do you know what? There's no feeling in this.
Yeah.
There's no like, and for me personally, I need a game that has feeling in it, and it had nothing. It didn't pique my interest like past, past the original. Oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, why do I want to keep playing this game? I'm not into like super competitive gameplay, so it's not really. I don't think it's going to work out for me,
No, I mean that's fair enough. Do you get that with this then? Do you sort of play this and find it
not with
interesting
Titanfall,
enough?
no, because this isn't solely competitive.
Yeah.
Whereas Battleborn and Overwatch and Paragon, these are the MOBAs. They are designed for you to play in teams against other teams and then win or lose, and haha, and we're all done. There's no lore. Well, there was. I mean, there was lore, but there wasn't anything that was.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Battleborn is there was a heck of a lot of lore. Every character had a whole bunch of upgrades and a whole bunch of this, that, and the other, but none of it was interesting.
It didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything, did it?
It was kind of boring, and I recently sort of given up on Battleborn because the last 2 times I've gone to play it, I've spent about 10 minutes sitting in a lobby before it even tried to matchmake anything, and it kept just disconnecting. So I've got to the point now where I don't want to waste time playing a game that, even though how much I enjoy it, and it does do it for me in terms of like being interested in that, I just can't be bothered to sit in lobbies. And again, credit to this is only the tech test, but I don't think I've ever waited in a lobby longer than like 30 seconds. I've always gone straight into a game, and
it doesn't have that tedium about it,
No.
Like,
not just
I
sitting
don't know.
waiting.
I think Battleborn suffers because I don't think it's got the player count. I think it was a great idea, but I think they released it at the very wrong time.
Yes.
And Overwatch was just a better game.
Yeah, I've not played Overwatch, but I think I can
haven't
tell it's
either.
better.
But what this reminds me of quite a lot is of the Destiny multiplayer as well.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we can bitch about Destiny till the cow comes home, and we have, and we always will. But this feels a lot like the Destiny multiplayer in terms of it has the similar sort of mechanics, like the double jump, and I'm trying to.
It just adds another layer to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and Call of Duty almost sort of went that way. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
It's interesting you say that actually, because I'd never really drawn any similarities to Destiny with this.
Well, I look at this and I think it's got. I feel it's got like a Destiny vibe. And multiplayer wise, although it's a lot bigger and broader in scale, for me it still has like almost like they've had like a bit of an influence from Destiny in it.
Yeah, as you say, it's interesting you make that comparison because obviously Call of Duty produced by Activision, and so is Destiny. So there's that tie between the two there. So it's almost like Titanfall's got itself right in the middle. It's like the happy medium between the two of them.
Exactly. I don't feel like I'm playing Call of Duty, and I don't feel like I'm playing Destiny, but I can definitely see the influences from both aspects. Less from Destiny, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm enjoying it, and yeah, if I had to sort of give my initial impression, I'm impressed. It's fun. I played it for probably about 3 or 4 hours yesterday, and again, that's just the multiplayer. So I'm hooked It's just
I can see
addictive.
us-
I don't know what it is about it.
I can
There's
see
just
us
something that's
playing
addictive.
this.
Yeah.
I can see us playing this a lot, but it's come at a time when, I mean, there's got some really great games coming out in the next, in the next month or two.
Yeah, especially with PlayStation VR in October, that sort of opens up the
Exactly.
market to all of those games.
I was on the track for pre-order, but now, unfortunately, I've had to not.
No.
So I'm looking to you.
What's this for?
This is all down
for VR.
for VR. Yeah, I mean, unless something changes, obviously, with my circumstances at the minute.
Yeah, and that's right. I'll be grabbing one, so you'll be more than welcome to come round and spend a couple of weeks on it.
Do you want to just give 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes on VR? Because I've got some questions. I think you'll probably be able to field them better than I can.
It can do, or I mean, I'm more than happy to save that for another video.
Well, I've just they've had VR Worlds Week. I don't know if you've seen all the hype for it and all the
I
bits
heard about it, but I've not actually watched or seen anything.
It's just basically the game VR Worlds. I think it's like
Oh,
a
I see,
combination
yes.
of games.
Yeah.
What do you think to them?
So, Phil raises a good point with VR, and he thinks it's just going to be a gimmick that's going to disappear. I
Yes,
think
like, yeah.
I can see that, and I can see why people would think that. But I think it's going to last a little bit longer than just a gimmick. So we had PlayStation Move and those things that really just, disappeared
Were gimmicks.
pretty quick. Yeah. The Wii obviously beat everyone to that sort of motion controller, and I just think VR has a bit more to it. But what we are going to get, especially as PlayStation VR launches, is all of the games that have been available on Oculus and Vive for probably close to a year at this point. That are just the showcase games. So they're things like the one where you're in the shark tank and you're getting attacked by sharks, but you're just floating around. And there'll be the one that shows off physics, and there'll be the one that does this, and the one that does X, Y, and Z.
Just the spectacles.
Yeah, they're the ones to get people to understand, because I think the biggest problem that VR faces at the minute is not everyone understands what it is. Not everyone understands what it can do. So you're going to get all sorts of games. Sony have come out and said there's going to be like 50 games available at launch for the VR. But you can almost guarantee that 40 to 45 of those will be games that you play once and never pick up again. They're just they're the experiences. And I think PlayStation World.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, but I think
I am worried about that.
VR is going to last long enough that we're going to see some of the larger games come out, and we're going to see things committed to it.
Apparently, the biggest VR experience so far that came from Gamescom was the Battlefield
the
Rogue One
thing.
X-Wing VR mission. Yeah, and now if that goes down a storm, then I've made promises in the past about Star Wars and they've not come to fruition.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty certain if that goes as well as they expect it to go, then you can expect a VR, some sort of like space fighter game from Star Wars, from EA guys. And if that happens, and it was similar to the Vita, you just have to get big studios on board.
Yes.
Like, if you get the big studios on board and the big franchises on board, then you've won.
Yeah.
Because people naturally gravitate to
They'll
it.
flock to
if
it.
It's all just gonna, if it's all just going to be like wank, sort of like third-party studios that are trying the hardest to make something really special, you're never going to get it, because, like we talked about before, the games industry is so fickle.
Yeah.
They just will never give it a chance, and that's exactly why the Vita hasn't done as well as it really should have done. It's so underrated, as we know.
So I think for me as well, the big thing with VR that they need to sort of work out is that a lot of games are obviously designed as a VR entirely experience. So you'll put the game on, you'll put the headset on, and you'll spend the entire time in the headset.
Yes.
The problem that people or that game studios face is movement within VR. Like, how do you move around when you're sitting in your chair without breaking the immersion? And a lot of them have gone towards like teleportation and that sort of thing. or being in the cockpit of a vehicle. I think that's the most
that's the
common.
easiest way, isn't it? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Then that's the way that makes most sense, and your brain understands and believes you're in that vehicle. I think what they need to do is sort of, and bringing it back around to Titanfall, is develop more towards having VR as part of the experience. So imagine,
but not all of it.
Imagine if you're sitting here now and you've got your PlayStation VR headset in front of you. You're fighting away, Titanfall, shooting off, and then you get to a point where your Titan's available. And to drop your Titan, you put your headset on. So you stick on your headset, and as that happens, you get that sort of awesome, sort of the screens coming in effect that you get already. And then from then on, somehow with the controller, and I don't know exactly how it would work, but you play in your Titan with your headset on. And I just think that'll add so much to it. And at that point, you've gone from running and gunning to actually sticking on your goggles and almost climbing into the Titan yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just adds so much more to it. And games like No Man's Sky could do a very similar thing. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about No Man's Sky another day. But we can have moments where you're getting into your cockpit, you're about to take off into space, and you just stick on the goggles. And I mean, in terms of a VR experience, at that point, all you need to do is map the goggles to the look controls, and obviously, there's a lot more to it than just that. But the basics of it is you still control the ship using the controller. You just have your head to look around with.
It's basically the Y-axis.
Yeah. And I just think things like that sort of like VR partial experience are what will be key. If they can do that sort of thing, it'll make games a lot more interesting, and people won't mind spending 60 quid on a game that includes some VR, and it's optional. You don't have to have a headset.
Yeah. And it's 3D, isn't it? If I'm right,
yeah,
this VR, it's giving you a 3D immersion, so it's not just like you're looking at it on a 2D screen, like you are now.
Yeah. It's all fully. So if you're in your Titan in PlayStation VR, it will feel like the controls for it are actually in front of you, and you'll want to reach out and grab things, and you'll be able to turn around and see if there's a Titan behind you, and that sort of thing. And again,
this is where fighter games and starship games and stuff wherever you're in a cockpit really comes into its own. When you've got that sort of that 360-degree view using the pivot of your neck rather than the pivot of your Y-axis.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine, like, I know Ace Combat's coming out, and I'm pretty certain, judging on the other Ace Combat's game, it's going to be very graphical. It's going to be very good. And
super cinematic.
If you can imagine playing that with your friends, and you're in the cockpit of a fighter.
Yeah.
You're not in your man cave or your room or your front room or whatever. You're in the cockpit of your fighter, and your buddy's saying to you, you've got one on your tail, and you take up your visual scan and you're looking behind the chair. Your missus is thinking, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, and that's exactly it. As I say, like in the office at work, we've got an Oculus sitting there, and I've been playing War Thunder with a joystick recently. So I've actually been, as far as my brain's concerned, I've been flying a Spitfire over the Dover coast fighting the Germans, and it feels as real as it can. I come off it and I feel physically sick. I feel like I've been,
really,
but only because I've literally gone from sitting at my desk to, as far as I'm aware, being hundreds of feet in the air, spiraling all around the place, barrel rolls and all that sort of stuff.
Does it give you that feeling?
Oh,
so you've experienced this. I've not experienced any new wave VR at all.
So you'll find yourself, and we have a lot of people come into the office, and we'll always stick them on it and give them a go, because my boss is very big on VR, and he wants everyone to experience it, and people will go on the roller coaster ones where they literally just sit there and have a little look around, but it's just like they're on a roller coaster. Yeah. But you'll see them like grabbing their chair and like almost lurching forwards, and it's funny because we've always said there's two types of people when it comes to VR. There's the people who get it and the people that don't. Because you'll get some people who sit there and just don't. They don't react at all, and they just sit still, and they sort of like, okay, that was cool, but I don't really get it.
Do you think Phil's one of those guys?
I think Phil gets it. He's just a skeptic, you know. And for him, sure. I think the problem he's got is the entertainment side of it. Like the actual games that will be produced and stuff will disappear, and you'll end up with this £350 paperweight, which it could happen. Yes. I hope it doesn't, but I think it's got a lot more to it than just what sort of PlayStation Move and that had. So cool. Anyway, so we're coming up to an hour, so that might be a good point to sort of wrap up our Titanfall 2 talk. Yeah,
been an hour already.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Again, it's just time flies.
Titanfall 2 and VR talk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it ties in nicely. I'd like to think that Titanfall 2 could one day sort of come into some sort of VR experience. I think that'd be...
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it's very important if big franchise games, or little ones too, have that, you know, like you say, have the ability to have VR experiences amongst them, and then whether you're an adopter or not, you've got it. Do you know what I mean? You can have the VR experience in your favorite games, and if you don't fancy it, you can still play your favorite games, and it's not a thing.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Okay. Well, so thanks for watching, and of course, Titanfall 2 comes out. I think it's like the 28th of October. I think it's a month today. Looking at the 2 months today. 2 months today, I think. So they've got time to fix any issues they find, and hopefully the game's going to be as good as we hope and have experienced this weekend. John, do you want to big up Degenerate? Where can people find you?
Yeah, sure thing. So basically, if you want to watch any more from Degenerate Gamers, hit us up at Degenerate Gamers on Twitter, and we're also on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for watching, and as always, check out Reck Media. We're always here. So, bye.